The most dangerous place to be in your career is not at the bottom. It's being the person everyone depends on. Because here's what nobody tells you. The moment you become impossible to replace, you become impossible to promote. And the system isn't broken. It's working exactly the way it was designed, just not for you. By the end of this video, you're going to understand something that most people only figure out after a decade of watching less qualified people move past them. And then you're going to send this to the one person whose face just appeared in your head. Let's go. 1. The setup. Her name is Jade. 7 years at a mid-sized tech company in Chicago. Senior project manager. The person they called at 11 p.m. when a launch was going sideways. The person new hires shadowed. The person her director quietly bragged about in executive meetings she was never invited to. Jade was excellent. And excellence, she was about to learn, is a cage. When a VP of operations role opened, Jade applied. She had the results. She had relationships. She had 7 years of receipts. They hired someone from outside with 4 years of experience. Her director pulled her aside afterwards and said, "You're just too valuable where you are." Read that sentence again. Too valuable where you are. That is not a compliment. That is a life sentence. 2. Why this happens. The math they're doing without telling you. Here's what your manager is actually thinking when you deliver another flawless project. Not, "She deserves a promotion. I cannot afford to lose this." And those two thoughts lead to completely different actions. When you become the person who holds everything together, who absorbs extra work without complaint, who fixes problems before they escalate, who makes your entire team look good, you have accidentally made yourself a liability to move. Because if they promote you, they have to replace you. And replacing someone who runs quietly, who never creates drama, who makes everyone's life easier, that's painful. That's risky. That's a gap they don't want to create. So they do the math. Keep her here. Give her more responsibility. Call it growth. Throw her a small bonus. And protect that seat for as long as possible. They are not villains. They are humans protecting their own comfort. But your comfort? That was never part of the equation. 3. The skill trap. You're winning the wrong race. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. The skills that make you exceptional at your current job are not the skills required for the job above you. Right now, you are rewarded for execution. Speed, reliability, getting it done without being asked twice. One level up, the game is entirely different. It's a strategy, ambiguity, influence, leading people through problems that don't have clear answers. And here is the brutal part. Companies will not train you for that level before you get there. They expect you to already be operating there before they'll consider you for it. You have to be good at a job you don't have yet to get the job. Meet Daniel. 5 years at a logistics firm in Atlanta. He knew every process, every vendor, every workaround in the company. His manager literally called him the brain of the operation. When a director role opened, they told Daniel he needed more leadership experience. Daniel asked how he was supposed to get leadership experience without being given the opportunity to lead. His manager had no answer. That silence? That's the sound of a system that has already decided who you are and has no interest in updating its opinion. 4. The identity lock. They've already decided who you are. The longer you stay excellent at one specific thing, the more the organization reduces you to that thing. You stop being a person with potential. You become a function. She's the operations person. He's the technical guy. She's the one who handles that. It doesn't happen in a meeting. It doesn't happen in a memo. It happens in the invisible language of how people talk about you when you're not in the room. Michelle, 12 years at a financial services firm in Houston. Best analyst they had. Every time a leadership role came open, they hired from outside. When she finally demanded a real answer, her director said, "We just always think of you as our numbers person." 12 years. And all they saw was the spreadsheet. She left. 6 months later, she was leading a team of 15 at a competitor. Same Michelle. Same skills. Completely different story, because she went somewhere nobody had already decided who she was. 5. The visibility gap. Working hard in an empty room. Now here's the piece that will genuinely change how you see everything. Your manager knows your work, but the people 2 or 3 levels above, the ones who actually make promotion decisions, they do not know you exist, and they're not going to look. Promotions don't happen in performance reviews. They happen in Tuesday morning conversations between two executives who have a gap to fill and 60 days to fill it. And in that conversation, they are not pulling up spreadsheets. They're not running data. They're asking one question: whose name comes to mind? Performance data tells them you're competent. Narrative tells them you're ready. If nobody is in those rooms telling your story, you don't have a narrative. You have a file collecting dust. And the worst part? Your silence gets read as satisfaction. Your reliability gets read as contentment. And their comfort becomes your ceiling. 6. The urgency shift: what actually moves organizations. Organizations don't promote people because it's fair. They promote people because they're afraid of losing them. Being low maintenance, which high performers were like a badge of honor, makes you easy to deprioritize. You're not creating urgency. You don't push. You don't make noise. You just deliver. And when there's no clock on your situation, there's no pressure to act. But the moment leadership believes you might leave, you become a priority. Not because they suddenly value you more, because now there's a cost to doing nothing. I'm not telling you to threaten anyone. I'm telling you to make your ambition visible. Say this clearly and professionally. I'm not planning to stay in this role forever. I want to be intentional about growing here. What does the real path forward look like for me? That one sentence changes the entire dynamic. Because now there's a clock. And clocks make people move. 7. The fix: what actually works. Write this down. Seriously, pause and grab something. 1. Stop making yourself irreplaceable where you are. I know that sounds insane, but your goal cannot be to be the only one who knows what you know. Document your processes. Cross-train your teammates. Make yourself easy to promote by making yourself possible to replace. The person who is impossible to move up is the person who never moved. 2. Audit where your energy actually goes. If 90% of your time is executing, you're training for a race you've already won. Carve out time, even 15%, to build skill for the level above you. Volunteer for the ambiguous projects nobody else wants. Sit in on strategy conversations even when you're not required. Raise your hand for the uncomfortable assignment. That's where the next version of you gets built. 3. Make your wins visible on purpose. After a big project, send a short email to your manager and CC someone senior. 3 sentences. Here's what we accomplished. Here's the business impact. Here's what I learned. That's it. You're not bragging. You're creating the narrative that gets told about you in rooms you're not sitting in. 4. Build relationships outside your immediate team. Be known by people who don't report to your manager. Go to the events. Show up to the cross-functional meetings. Have real conversations with people in different departments. Because when your name comes up in that hallway conversation, you need someone standing in that hallway who already knows who you are. Jade eventually figured this out. She stopped trying to be indispensable. She started trying to be known. She documented everything, joined a cross-departmental initiative, had a direct conversation with a senior leader about where she was headed. 3 months later, she was a director. Not at that company, at the one that recruited her after her name came up in a conversation between 2 people who'd seen her show up differently. Same Jade. New story. I think about everyone who never gets this conversation, who keeps waiting to be noticed, who keeps believing that if they just work a little harder, a little longer, the right person will finally see it. Some of them wait 5 years. Some of them wait 10. And some of them are still waiting. That is not going to be you. Not after today. The trap was never that you weren't good enough. The trap was that you were so focused on the job you had that nobody, including you, was building the case for the job you deserved. Competence gets you in the room. It earns you respect. It keeps you employed. But competence alone will never get you movement. Drop a comment right now. What is the one thing you're most proud of at work that might actually be the thing keeping you stuck? If this hits, share it with someone whose face came to mind while you were watching. Text it to them right now. Don't wait. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We do this every week. I'll see you in the next one.